Oh, we're going to go live. Let's load that video.
We gotta change up that tarps off photo in the intro.
If anybody wants to know how important Dakota Josh was to the Vancouver Canucks, that was the game. Okay, so condiments. This is everything.
Everything. So we run the gamut completely, right?
I'm talking about sriracha on the bottle.
Sriracha?
Sriracha. It's that silent R that screws me up.
Is it a silent R?
I don't know, like who's tall?
Who's tall?
Chris Pronger, wasn't he tall?
Chris Pronger was tall, yeah.
Welcome to the PP1 Podcast.
Are you kidding me? That's what?
Whoa, was that me?
Is that me? I've been waiting all day to push the button. Oh, is that me?
Yeah, no, it sounds like there's other things going on here with cables and such. I don't know. It's a Saturday. Things work differently on a Saturday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to the PP1 Podcast on the Hockey Podcast Network, presented in concert with DraftKings Pick Six. That actually works well with our sixth season. I will get into that ad read a little bit later, but we're going to talk some Canucks today. We're going to talk about Oreo cookies and maybe other chocolate treats. We're going to talk about how awful the Vancouver Canucks are, how everything's falling apart, the sky is falling, teams breaking up, everybody's going their separate ways. We'll see you next summer. We're going to talk about maybe a little bit of the Kelowna Rockets and how they also have basically blown it up and are not doing well right now. And I went to the game last night, and I'll get into that. I don't know. We'll talk about some things. We're going to talk about life. We're going to go into the deep. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to talk about hockey. Ted, how you doing, man? I haven't talked to you face to face. I mean, even digitally in like at least a week.
Yeah, not since your shoot for your new gear from
That's
all
right.
that stuff. Yeah,
That's right. Things are moving, man. Things are moving. I remembered to wear the hat and the shirt today. So.
Oh boy. Yeah, I gotta get on there and
awesome.
order some stuff, I think. Is there like a discount code or something that I could use for being your close friend?
There is a secret passage, but I'd rather you then email me instead. Although an official transaction does help. So yeah, things are going well. We're almost going to hit our first little mini mark. So that's good. People are asking for it across 2 provinces anyway.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. It looks good. It's like it's not too complicated looking. It's not busy. I like it.
Yeah, which is funny because knowing me, I overcomplicate and busy up everything. So this is like a professional departure from everything.
I'm sure we'll get
else.
there.
Yeah, I'll make it busy. Just wait. Yeah, just wait. We'll make it happen. So yeah, things are going good. How are things with you, man? Like, are you back to sportsing at all? Are you back to?
I actually, the last couple of weeks, I was like playing some all sports, so I feel like that's a nice little level to get into to cut your teeth on like getting back. So I played a little goal in soccer, and then we played some European handball, which is pretty great. I haven't other than playing at all sport, I haven't really done that kind of stuff since like high school. So that was
But
fun.
you're not European, so how does that work?
Very true. Yeah. So I did some running around, scored some goals. That was fun. Haven't done anything like that. Like, I guess I've been running on the treadmill for so long this last little bit that like apparently running in anything other than a straight line is quite difficult.
Oh, what's going on here?
Yeah, when you haven't done it in like 7-8 months, my legs were just like absolute jello. It was like I hit a super hard leg day and then went and played sports, except I hadn't done anything. So.
Oh well, real life.
We're gonna take some time to get back. I think. But
get some reps in
for spring.
I just get ready for ball, man. Yeah. Forget everything else. Just be ready for that first at bat, hitting the dinger, baby. That's all that matters.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I'm glad to see that you're back being Ted, the Ted we all know and love. I mean, I still like you away from sports, but I prefer you in the sports version. So if I had to choose, yeah, that's what I do. So like I said, things are falling apart pretty much everywhere. The Canucks they have 2 wins in their last 10 games. They've been outscored 33-19. It's been awful. They've been shut out twice. It's been an absolute mess. The Kelowna Rockets went to the trade deadline and basically sold it for parts in preparation for next year's Memorial Cup. And Crystal's dominating out in Spokane. He had a 7-point night the game before Kelowna, I think. Or maybe it was in Kelowna. Anyway, he had 3 goals and 4 assists. Kid's a machine. I think he has like 20-something points in 3 games. Like,
might have been a good fit for a guy like that on Team Canada this year now.
Hey, I mean, what do we know? It's not like we see these guys all the time and understand what the team should be looking for, but whatever. And then the other thing that's falling apart, Ted, this one should hit home for all of you out there. You would think that video games in this day and age would not crash and reset and whatever, like the old Nintendo or memory cards or whatever. Well, last week I was playing Tiger Woods 09. I've had a file going on. Like, it's just sitting. It just sits there.
Last week I was playing a 16-year-old video game.
That's right. And so I've been playing this here and there. Like, life's busy, but just something to do at the end of the night, just to decompress. Anyway,
why 09? Like, out of all of them,
just because I haven't bought any other ones, so it's just there. So I just play it. It's on the PS3 still, so that's the one we put upstairs. So anyway, I've been playing as my character for like 15 years, right? And I was playing around, or I can't even remember what the course, doesn't matter. But anyway, like, it froze. And anybody that's played like the older games like knows, like, the game will keep going, but it's like froze on like a thinking spot. You can still pause the game, you can still turn everything off, but it's not like getting to the next like part of the game. Anyway, so it froze on me, and I had to go pick up the girls or something. So I'm like, screw it. So I turned it off because I didn't have to like hard reset or anything, and just left it. So I came to it the next day, turned it on, and it was Christine's character. I'm like, what is going on here? Is this sabotage? Is this it's coming from inside the house? So I'm looking around, because normally your main character comes up when you start the game. I'm going to cough here. There we go. And so I'm looking around. I can't find my created character file, whatever. It's gone. Like, gone. I lost last week 15 years of progress on this stupid game, which anybody that knows video games, you build all this up so you don't have to do it anymore. It's just there. You're just already at this level. Doesn't matter the game, sports, RPGs, whatever, fighting games. And I was devastated because
so you're gonna have to go back to playing your PS4 and maybe buy a new version of Tiger Woods from, say, 2015 or something like that. Like,
I mean, I could probably afford to get the 2023 version. So anyway, yeah. So I was like, so I restarted this character. I'm like, okay, I'm a better player than I was when I bought this game the first time. So I've been like building it up like every night, like put in like a solid hour of like Tiger Challenge, and just to get my stats up so I can at least like get back to just enjoying the game. Or I could just go buy a game and, but it's, it's got memories. We've got.
Why would you want to invest that much time in it and then it freezes again because this disc is 15, 16 years old?
But it's not the disc.
In like this one system. Spot, right?
Anyway.
It's the system then. So now you're going to do it again, and then.
I'm a sucker for punishment. So that got me thinking maybe I moved the PS4 upstairs so we could start playing some Ninja Turtles again. So
there you go.
We'll see. So anyway, yeah, like I said, everything is falling apart for me right now. My hockey teams are birds. Heads are flying off. Oh, it's good.
How did he die? His head fell off.
He just seemed really quiet. Oh, man. One of my coworkers hasn't seen that movie. And she's like, yeah, I work with people older than me.
Oh, okay.
So I asked her, and she's like, yeah, I don't really know. It doesn't seem like my kind of thing. But she likes like The Hangover and Bridesmaids. I'm like, well, this like was the reason that those movies are good. Or one of the reasons anyway. So yeah. So let's talk hockey. Yeah, let's talk some hockey. So do you want to talk Canucks? You want to talk about how awful this team is? Like, what topic do you want to start? Because it's like the hottest mess for Canucks. Like,
it's also the hottest topic. I feel like every major media outlet's on this stuff right now, right? Like, obviously the team is playing bad. They're not reporting on how bad Vancouver is, right? But they're talking about possible trades. They're talking about trade blockers. There's rumors flying about. Like, every time I turn on YouTube, it's 4 or 5 different outlets from other teams' opinions on what's going on with the Vancouver Canucks and where that trade is going to possibly happen, if at all.
Yeah.
So it's wildness out there right now. It's just dominating everything.
Yeah, you're right. And I mean, when we think like we're the most important thing as a Canucks fan base, like, how come they're not talking about us and this, Quinn Hughes, this and the PD Miller thing, and yet you go to TSN and like it's still like Marner stories, it's still Matthews, Ovi scoring still after coming back from stroke, like, and yet you go and look and like the Penguins waive Tristan Jarry, and you're like, what? Yeah. Pardon me. So we brought that up this week in our little text combo, and I'm thinking like, and then of course their goalie scores a goal last night and an assist. Ned Djokovic or something. I don't know his last name. It's a lot of consonants, not so many vowels.
Nedeljkovic?
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. So you want to say it like phonetically, it'd be like Nedeljkovic. That's
right. That also works. I think we could use both of those in a sentence.
He was drafted. I'm pretty sure he was the number 2 rated goalie in Thatcher Demko's draft year.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
So I mean, you look at Pittsburgh. They've got a guy that they've won a cup with, and they're waiving him. Like they're waiving Thatcher Demko money basically in goal, and we're still like complaining about everything going on. Like, the league is still happening, and yet we're looking at like everything is falling apart in Vancouver, which rightfully so it is. I think there's not a whole lot to get excited about right now, which is why we're talking about it.
Doesn't that the other day we were talking, or you were talking about, couldn't we possibly look at moving Thatcher Demko, right? I mean, I think the Tristan Jarry thing like perfectly encapsulates like how volatile the goaltending market is, right? Like, he's making Thatcher Demko money. He's got a cup. He's been well sought after, made all-star games, and here we are just a couple of years later, and they're waiving him. Like, yeah, there's the drop off can happen so quickly, and I think that it obviously can happen so quickly for players too. But I think you're just so prone to it happening for a goaltender for outside reasons. Like, if you're a good player, you can go somewhere else and play. But if you come as a goaltender to a different system, you can struggle with the system and your coaching, right?
Right.
Like, there's just so many more variables for people to tie their wagon to, that I think it like breeds problems when you're looking at trading goaltenders for impact players, right? So that's one of the reasons why I think that it was like an unlikely scenario. But the Jarry thing happened is kind of a shock. It's amazing how far that team has fallen with Kyle Dubas there and what he's done versus what happened in Toronto for years prior to that.
Yeah, I mean, you take notice when it's a noticeable name, right? Like, it's not like you're not just waiving whatever. Like, if we saw Markstrom get waived, or if we saw, not Saros, but you know what I mean? Like, he's in the mix, and I'm not saying like top 3 or anything, but he's in the mix of people that it should shock you. Like, if Vancouver did that with Demko, it would be the same shock value, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
Not quite the same, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, I mean, Jarry's been a decent, like I would say, a top half goalie for a long time, and in just the last little while, sort of this slow fall off has kind of happened as this team has sort of dropped off too, right? So, yeah, it's shocking to see that sort of fall from grace overall, but I can't say that it was completely unexpected that something was going to give there. But yeah, a little wild.
Yeah, it's, again, just things are going on all over the place. Yeah. So you look at the Canucks, we've got like the PD Miller thing is almost like dissolved because now Miller's just playing like garbage. Like, the coach put him at the end of the bench last game and just basically said, don't move. You've got Pettersson. I mean, nobody is really standing out aside from like Garland, set aside from Quinn Hughes, like Garland and who
do you notice? You notice Garland, and you notice Sherwood
and Hoglander. And Sherwood, exactly. That's it.
That line has been pretty decent. Like, you still see guys like Teddy Bluger out there making, good decisions, and he looks like a quality player sitting in that third line spot. I like that mix on the third line with him and Sherwood.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you still got like Puy Suter, who is very serviceable and a good player, but like you can't expect these guys to be doing anything other than their jobs right now, right? And they're doing their jobs, but I mean, you need all the parts, and then the actual firepower that exists on this team is just doing nothing right now.
And I think that's the hard part now, because you're looking, and have you seen basically every game since Christmas? Like, have you missed any games at all?
Yeah, I've missed a couple of games here or there, or like I haven't been able to watch the whole entire game, but
right. But I think my point is right now is I'm watching it like the game against LA. Mm-hmm. You're just waiting for the game to end. Like, you're just, okay.
First I was waiting for it to start.
Yeah. It's just, there's just nothing going on. Like, it's eventless. It's just, there's nothing to keep you tied in right now, which is frightening because, again, maybe we were fooled, or maybe it was, that was a one-off or whatever it was. But like last season and this season are not, I mean, I also want to compare the season before, but like they're not even remotely the same. No. There's nothing that resembles the other.
The only thing that resembles it is the offensive potential and ability that sits on the roster. It's all there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they should be doing more. And I don't know. I think like it's possible that all of this attention, the circus that's going on in Vancouver right now, is just starting to get to the roster, right? Like,
yeah.
I just think that when it's that present for that long, like even if guys are pros and can deal with all the talk and the hearsay and what's going on, right? I mean, eventually that has to grind on you, right?
You would think so.
It has to get to you, whether it's bullshit or not, right?
Yeah.
It's so tough, and I think that like Miller's personality, for all the things you like about that personality, right? It doesn't bode well. It doesn't work well when the roster is like a delicate flower right now, right? Like, that's the exact thing that you need when your roster is hardened and needs a slap in the face and needs a punch in the mouth and needs like an arrogant personality to sort of step up and throw a bit of a temper tantrum and get you back on the right track. Like, sometimes you need that chin check. This isn't this roster right now.
You get punched in the mouth right now, like it's a knockout punch.
Yeah, it might cripple everybody, right? So I'm sure that he's finding it difficult to sort of express himself on this roster, and quite frankly, it just kind of makes him look like an asshole. Like, it does. But it's hard. I'm not saying that he's just an asshole, because you need those types of players, right? And when things are going well, I want that on my roster. But meantime,
where they're at, that's where it comes off.
It's just not the time and place for it. It's not solving anything. It's kind of making things worse, right?
Yeah.
Or at least that's the perspective that we're being given from the media, because we don't really know what's going on in the locker room. But it doesn't look that great.
No, the optics are just terrible. And I think, again, you want to get into another thing, and we talked about Demko already, but like Demko's look basic. Like, some of the goals that have gone in, you're thinking like, no, something's wrong. Like,
what were we expecting?
That's not even him. Even like nothing. Again, aside from Quinn Hughes, and bless him, but other than that, there's really nothing to hold on to right now. Like, it's, if there's a zone entry, you're like, well, hopefully they don't score. Or if we get out, like, you look at the shot clock even, and you're thinking like, even like actual shots are just tough to come by. Like the statistical things that at the very least you can maybe hang a hat on, and even those things are starting to fall apart. Like, they've had how many power plays in the last little while, or lack of on the other skill too. And it's just, there's nothing to get excited about, which as a fan is frustrating. If you're on that roster, it's got to be tenfold.
The shots thing is like a funny thing, because this hasn't been a high generation shot team for like a while. Like, they're very like, look for that grade A opportunity and put it in, right? Like,
but even for where they're at, I'm saying it's low.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at, right? So when pucks are going in and your finishing is at a high at a high point, and the team is moving the puck around well, and they're dangerous at 5-on-5. Like, we don't care as much, right? But when this team isn't finishing, all you're seeing is the 20 to 22 shots a game, and you're like, that's not enough. You got to generate more, right? And so the optics look poor, even though it's the same sort of attack mentality.
Yeah.
This team is just not finishing, right? Like, not only are they not finishing lately, but they're not even generating anything. Like, it's become ugly, right? And we're so tied to like this market being like, oh my God, it's the Leafs game. Everything was so great. Like, we're up 3-0. Like, they got it back on track. And then it's like, now you have Los Angeles and it was an absolute whipping, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or the game after Toronto, absolute whipping, right? And the sky is falling. And then this team will probably go on another. People were talking about PD like a Selke nomination. I mean, they were chanting Selke from the bench because he looked that good. So it's in them to do something, right? But this presents a lot of problems moving forward as dates loom, like trade deadlines, expiring contracts. I mean, this roster is going to have to figure out what they're going to do. Is it going to do what last year did and give this team some bullets in the chamber because they can put it together? Or is it time to cut your losses on a few things, see where you go this year, and then wrap it up next year?
Yeah. Like, there's already been talk about Brock Besser maybe getting traded. That kind of came off what I see on like Harrison Price. I just kind of saw the clipping of it. So that's already becoming a discussion. Obviously,
and it has to be.
Miller is, there's the latest rumor maybe to New Jersey. And just, I mean, that's the exciting part right now, is the thing that's not on the ice. And we should be excited about the thing that's on the ice. Like, we were, what, 1 goal 5 minutes away last year from beating the Oilers, from going to the conference final. Like, a completely different team than where they're at.
Number one center.
Yeah. Just unbelievable. It just, again, like, we have, there's so much to talk about. And at the same time, it's like, well, here's what it is right now. What do we do? Yeah.
I mean, the conundrum of PD v Miller or PD and Miller, who stays, who goes, maybe they both go, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the big marker that has to be cleared out first, right? I mean, second, you probably move into the Besser thing, right? Figuring out where he's going to go.
Right.
Because they can't do the classic, like, rent your own player this year, because we don't even know if this team's going to make the playoffs, right? And and I loathe this team hanging on to players like Radim Verbata and Dan Hamhuis for nothing.
Yeah.
For no reason whatsoever. And you can't do that with Brock Besser, especially based on the fact that he's got some pretty serious trade value, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want him. Like, we were talking on this show 2 years ago before they made the trade. And I was like, are you still comfortable re-upping this guy for like 8.5 for 8? Because that's where we probably have to go for it. And I don't know about you, but I'm probably not, especially not knowing where we are right now with this team. And if he even needs to be a part of it going forward. I love Brock. Like, don't get me wrong, but this team doesn't even know what it's doing right now.
I think, and that's the big thing, because we can get into individual players, whether it's PD Miller, Demko, Besser, whoever. Mm-hmm. And in a vacuum on each one of those guys, you can deal with that situation. But because everything is just so in flux right now, like, where do you focus? Like, do you say, okay, we're going to start playing this like 7-game series for the next month, and based on a 7-game series, what does it look like as we go into each one of these? Let's look at this player. Let's look at this player. What does Brock look like in the next 5 games? What does Miller look like in the next 5 games? Are we going to see the same things as this team as a whole clouding our actual judgment, or are these all contributing factors? Right? Like, is it because this is happening? Like, is it both?
I think the Brock thing is like, the Brock thing surprisingly has less to do with Brock than it does with the team, right? Like, I think this team knows what Brock is. Like, I think Brock is like, move along at between a 30, 35, 40 goal pace, depending on the season.
Yeah.
Super solid supporting cast member, like high end winger that this team has, right? that can really get the job done on the power play and is strong defensively, right? I think you know what that is, but he's also not the guy that can just single-handedly carry the mail and step up and handle business when guys like PD and Miller aren't playing, right?
Yeah.
And so the question isn't it like, hey, let's see what the next couple of weeks brings for Brock. It probably, the question is like, see what the next couple of weeks brings for this team. And do we feel like we're in a position to keep Brock? And then sort it out in the offseason what we're going to do with his contract? Or do we move him at the trade deadline because we don't know where this roster is going to be and we're not into paying him? I'm just throwing out like 8.5. Like, who knows, right?
Yeah.
Because you got to get this guy for a 7 or an 8 year ticket. Like,
Yep.
I think roster uncertainty and team uncertainty is the reason for Besser going, not the quality of the player. Because the quality of the player is there. Like, if this is a good team and we're going to make a playoff push, 100% he's on this roster and they work out re-signing him in the offseason.
And that's kind of what I was getting at on like the thing in a vacuum. Like, let's look at this player. Like, is this someone, based on where we're at, is this a guy that's going to help us get out over this? Like, it's not his thing, but like, who are the guys that we're seeing the spark from that, okay, even though we're doing terrible as a whole, this guy is still trying to make this work? Because there's guys that aren't, there's guys that aren't going to be there to make it work, right? I mean, as great as JT Miller is he trying to make this work, or and I think he is. I think they all are. But
sure,
like, what does that effort really mean to this team? Like, is it, are they just focusing on trying to get the goals, or should they just dial it back and like, let's just try to win a period to start. Let's just try to generate chances, and then the goals will come. Like, it's
I mean, I don't think they're there. I think they're like, we're so far in this hole, we got to dig out of it, and they don't know where to start. Like,
do you think?
I truly believe that. Like, say this team goes and trades JT.
Yeah.
And they get, I don't know, we were talking about, you were saying New Jersey. So what if they go and get a Dawson Mercer or something like that, right? Like a young guy, he's got a good contract. He's had some good seasons, on a bit of a decline. JT's on a bit of a decline. Like, you're curious just how much you can actually get for a guy like JT now, right? Former 100-point player.
Yeah.
And so it's Dawson Mercer and some picks and some parts or something like that.
Right.
Now you've just moved out like 8+, and you've just moved out 6 years of contracts, so 7 years of contracts, right?
Yeah.
Like, and this team turns the corner a little bit, and in the next few weeks before the trade deadline starts to make a bit of a move, right? They regain a playoff spot, right?
Yeah.
They sit in 8th and or 7th, and they're kind of slowly looking like more of a positive team. Like, at that point now, you can sort of reassess the whole Brock thing, right? Like, is it worth keeping this player and trying to finish out the remainder of the season and not damage what we have currently? Because you have to show the players that you're still committing, right? So like, if you go full tank, like, do you think Quinn's going to be happy about that?
No, I think you guys
only going to be sticking around for what, 2 more years for Quinn?
Yeah.
Right? Like, you better be doing everything to make this guy happy.
Yeah.
Like, because if he wants to walk, then good luck, right? Like, you say goodbye to the best player this franchise has ever had, unequivocally.
And probably a few more.
Yeah, and probably a few more. And then you're just like, you're talking about rebuilding now. You'd be starting from complete scratch if that happened.
Yeah.
So good luck. You can't just mail it in, right?
Yeah, it's full rebuild at that point. Reset, rebuild.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge factor on whether a guy like Brock moves this season or next or not at all, right? And I think the way this team finishes up and Quinn Hughes is going to have a lot of say in that. I don't really care what anybody thinks.
Oh, well, I think he's that player. I mean, not only is the captain, but he's that player. Like, and he's the straw stirring the drink. Like, he is, as I said, everybody else might be. He's
the fucking man. He's the man. Like, that's it. Like, I don't even know how else you can put it. He's so freaking good, Ryan.
I know.
It's crazy. You all take this. You all took the Sedins for granted. Like, we're all taking Quinn for granted. Like,
you need to post that. Yeah.
I had a question. Like,
yeah,
because we talked a lot last week about who do we keep, right? Is it going to be Pettersson? Is it going to be Miller? Or do they both go, right?
Yeah.
Because that's still a distinct possibility, right? And if they both go, they both go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care as long as what all of that means at the end is that Quinn is a Canuck long term. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
Like really. So if it's Miller that goes, because we've talked pretty extensively about JT already.
Yeah.
If it's Miller that goes and PD sticks around. I kind of was thinking the other night while I was watching that Toronto game and all of the chants, right? I mean, he's obviously not playing to the standard that we've seen him at, the 100-point pace, right?
Yeah.
Player that we think he can be. If in that game, like people thought that maybe this is one of PD's best games, right? I think he had an assist in that game.
Yeah.
In the Toronto one, right? And the bench was chanting Selke, 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 right? If PD falls to a 67 to 75 point player for the rest of his
forward, okay,
going for the rest of his career,
mm-hmm.
but he's like a perennial Selke level player.
Mm-hmm.
Is that busting for you? Is that like not enough, or is that like that's enough for me to say that he's reached his potential and found the spot that he needs to be in?
So on the surface, I'd say, yeah, he would be a bust on the surface. But if you're giving me he's a Selke nominee almost every year, then even though the goal
at that level, right? He's recognized as one of the premier defensive forwards in the game.
So he's at that point, then he's not the alien that we were hoping was. I mean, how many superstars have we seen kind of fall off after a year or two and they become pretty good players, right? If he's a pretty good player and he's bringing a defensive game that you just can't shake and you have to take notice every year, I mean, how do you not get excited about that? Because he's bringing everything else. Like Ryan Kessler wasn't a 100-point player. He also wasn't touted to be Elias Pettersson. But if you have to change your perspective, if you're like, okay, we were really hoping it would be this, and it's not this anymore, but man, he still brings all of this on the side. He still brings a crazy defensive game that makes us so dangerous in a different way. And someone else will score the goals. It can't always be him, right? It can't just be whoever your top winger or your top center. Like, that's why you have depth. That's why it's a team game. So if it means that we have to sacrifice the ceiling as far as point production goes, but we gain in all the other areas, I don't think you can be disappointed. Again, on the surface, the flash of it, yeah, then that word would make him, as far as, you know, the naysayers, a bust, because they expected grand things, that he's going to be a top 3 player his whole career. Well, we're adjusting, and maybe that's because the system that he's been in, and, you know, that he's had to wait out garbage for 5 years before things really got going. I mean, some of those have to factor in. You can't just assume that he's going to be a superstar night in and night out and everything else around is burning to the ground. Like, some of that has to factor in. So I think if that's what we get, man, I'd take it. Why not?
Yeah, it was just it was an interesting wrinkle. Like, we look at, like, when I think of those premier defensive centers, I'm thinking like Pavel Datsyuk. I'm thinking Patrice Bergeron.
Yeah.
And like Datsyuk had some bigger seasons than Patrice, right? I mean, he had seasons of like 87, 87, 97, 97. He didn't really get growing in like the Selke conversation until his like 26, 27, 28 seasons, I believe, right? And then Bergeron was kind of always consistent the whole way through. But I mean really, in terms of
too, which makes this,
yeah, in terms of total points, like, I mean, you've got Bergeron with 4 seasons and of 7 or like 60 plus points. He's got one season of like 79 and a bunch of 50s, and nobody's ever considered that guy anything other than an absolute stud. And if it's possible for PD to find a way to being at that level of success, then I wonder what this market would think.
Oh, be cut out. I mean, I think the problem is that we just get so focused on what this guy is supposed to be, and we forget that there's only a very select few that become actual superstars in the NHL. you're only going to see. I'm going to kick you out of this other one. I was just saying, when we talk about superstars, like in the true sense of the word, how many superstars are in the NHL at any given generation?
Cool.
Like,
Five?
Five. Okay. So we were hoping Pettersson was going to be in that five, and he's not. He's not right now anyway. But you know who is? Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes is in that talk. So we have one of those guys. So even though he's not going to be this alien that we all thought he was going to be, and maybe that, maybe it reemerges at some point, I would take Patrice Bergeron every day of the week. I would have taken Pavel Datsyuk every day of the week. Those are guys that you can build around. Those are guys that you can work with that make you a solid team. He might not be your top scorer. That's fine. I mean, that comes and goes, right? If you have a guy that's going to make sure that he keeps you with the puck, he keeps the puck out of your net because of his efforts defensively, whoever scores goals, that's always going to change. If he's going to be in the mix every game, that's what you want. That's what you're paying for. You know what I mean? I would, if you bring it up that way, Ted, I would take that in a heartbeat, because I know what I'm getting long term, and the long game is worth a lot more than a few 100-point seasons. That's going to get him paid. That's about it. It's not going to win you a cup, though.
Yeah, totally agree.
Man,
I would be fine with it. If there's development capped out, it's Selke level player, I'm okay with that.
Like, you look at it on the flip side. So you take the Oilers, for example, right? You've got McDavid and you've got Draisaitl. I'm just going to focus on those two for a second. Now, these guys are superstars, and they are scoring at a torrid pace, and they're incredible. Yeah. However, even with all of that, and I mean, they got close, but even with all that, like, if there's no cup, what does that mean? Is it just you had two really good players for their career?
Yeah, probably.
Like, that would be it. Like, Ovi got a cup. All these all these elite guys, like, again, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, are they going to win a cup in Toronto? Probably not. Could they win on a lot of other teams and be the guy that we're going to need you scoring, but we have all the other pieces. So we just need you to score goals. We don't need you to be the guy. We just need you to be our goal scorer guy. Man, a ring is a ring.
It doesn't matter. Flex life forever.
A ring is a ring, baby. So I'm being fair. Like, you look at these other teams, and we don't have, like, Quinn Hughes helps us for sure, but we don't have Connor McDavid. We don't have Austin Matthews. We don't have the Marners. Like, we've had flashes of those things, but flashes at best. But I'll take a team. I'll take a guy that puts team first, and he's nominated for those. Like, why did we love Ryan Kessler so much? It's not because he scored 40 goals one time. It's because he did all the other stuff so incredibly well.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he was a dog every single season. He put his heart on his sleeve. He basically ripped it out and threw it at you and tackled you. And he also scored goals, and he did everything. Like, that's what you want.
I mean, if you look at how Kessler's tenure as a Canuck wrapped up too, right? Things were not going well. The team was in turmoil. All this.
That's not his fault, though, either. The team didn't do the right things to change things up.
It didn't, but he becomes that personality level just becomes a disruptive force.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And then it had to be moved. So
yep.
It's just not working, I think, at this point with the current roster. And I think moves have to be made. I think we're all just waiting for the other shoe to drop at this point.
Let's just be adults. Let's just, whatever it needs to be, let's be adults and let's get it done. I don't care who's on this team when they win. I'm a Canucks fan.
I really don't.
I don't. I mean, if I could guarantee a cup and it meant that Quinn Hughes wasn't on that team and Pettersson wasn't, then that's what it has to be. I want the Canucks to win. Like, that's crazy talk, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
I'm a Canucks fan, man. These guys will retire at some point, and we're going to sing their praises, but whoever wins on that team, we're going to love that team forever, and it doesn't matter. I don't care who's on that team. I don't. I'm a Canucks fan first and everybody else second. So I got to do an ad read. Otherwise, we're going we're going to have to pay the bills ourselves. Once we're done the show today, we got a couple games of football coming up. I don't know if you know about this divisional round. You may have heard there's some football this weekend.
Some football this weekend, yeah.
Just a little bit. Only a couple absolute marquee matchups. But my question is, have you ever played Pick 6 from DraftKings yet? What are you waiting for? Get on this. You better get on it. The playoffs are here, and time is running out. As the official daily fantasy sports partner of the NFL, DraftKings does fantasy sports like no one else. You're going to play for better payouts on Pick 6. It's super easy to get started. You're going to select 2 or more players, not 1, 2 or more players. Choose to fill up more or less of a stat, like touchdowns, yardage, sacks, whatever floats your boat. They're going to give you options. Pick 6 is available in most states, including Missouri, California. Hopefully you guys stay strong. California, Texas, Georgia, and more. And get this, DraftKings is making it even sweeter for the first timers out there. New Pick 6 customers play $5 and you get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Win more cash on Pick 6. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to play $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus age, and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available ever, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 30 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. You just deked out for the whole ad read. I appreciate that. Just let me have my moment.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It was just so jumbled, and
that's good. That's good. I had
every half second I was missing basically for a half second. So, and then it would speed it up.
That's okay. I had peace. I had peace for my ad read, so it's all good. So Ted, cancel. I almost left the show. We're gonna finish off because we've been.
Oh yeah, you had an
pretty
idea,
gloomy. I got an idea, and I made sure I chatted. I was texting with Ryan Schapp from Pucks on Net because they were having a show on Monday, and I said, "Are you guys going to be talking about this?" He said, "No." Okay, good. I got a segment. So Quinn Hughes, as you saw, signed with Oreo this past week as a sponsor. So he is an Oreo athlete. I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't see that, but I feel better knowing.
So he's rocking. I mean, the Leafs also, I think, are sponsored by Milk and Oreos, so maybe let's not read too much into that. But he's sponsored by Oreo. He's going to elevate the Oreo brand, which is very black and white. And it's Quinn Hughes is more of a black and white player. You know what I mean? He's either doing it or he's not. He's either getting her done or he's not. So I was thinking, what if we looked at a few other Canucks, maybe even the team, and based on slogans and what that product is, who could we match up? So first I was thinking now I wanted to put Snickers on for basically the whole team, not going anywhere for a while, grab a Snickers because that's the Canucks. But let's do a couple players, have a little bit of fun. So Elias Pettersson, he's still a Canuck. If you were to sign him to a candy bar contract, who would you pick?
Oh, geez. Oh, I don't. Oh, that's a weird one.
It is. That's what I thrive on.
For the formerly alien, tall, lanky guy, maybe a Twix.
A Twix, okay.
Yeah, so sometimes a Twix is exactly what I need.
Mm-hmm.
And other times it's kind of underwhelming. Yeah, thin dude. Maybe a Twix.
Okay, I like that.
I don't know exactly where to go with that. I haven't hit my stride on this one yet, but I'm just going to say Twix for this one.
So if it was me, I'd pick Baby Ruth because he's not like Babe Ruth, but he's he doesn't have the stature of what Babe Ruth was, but he's Baby Ruth. So he brings a lot, but he's not going to bring everything.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know what I mean? Okay. So we've Twix and Baby Ruth. Let's do Brock Besser. What kind of candy bar would Brock Besser be? Now you can include like candy too. So like if you're thinking like Skittles or M&Ms or you know what I mean, you can get
that. I'm gonna go with just a classic solid chocolate Hershey bar.
Oh, okay.
Just classic, velvety smooth, not complicated at all. You know exactly what you're getting, and it doesn't stand out in any major way other than it kind of just gives you all the things you need.
Interesting. Okay, I'm going to take a similar approach, but now this isn't one of my favorites, but it seems to be good in the Blizzard for some reason. I'm going to go with Score. Like it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It won't be your favorite, but it does deliver. Like if you had one, you're like, yep, I was pretty happy with that. I was pretty happy with that. It filled the need that I had. So we got Brock Besser. Yeah, exactly. Fill the need. Let's do Thatcher Demko.
Okay.
That's a tough one.
I'm going to go with Reese peanut butter cups.
Ooh, those are just yummy.
Yeah, so there's layers to his game, but peanut butter is sticky.
Mm-hmm.
It's gooey. It's tough to get through. It's always consistent. No matter what, I'm going to be down for Reese's Pieces. Things you can get away without having them, but that bag of candy is going to be better with Reese's Pieces in it, right? So, yeah, I'm going to say Reese's Pieces.
So Reese's Pieces, not the peanut butter cups.
No, Reese's peanut butter cups. Sorry.
Okay, you're all over the place. I'm not sure to dial in on you here. I'm gonna go with Kit Kat for Thatcher Demko because sometimes you need a break.
Yeah, sometimes things break.
So that also true. Sometimes things break, but I think sometimes you need a break and you grab a Kit Kat. So very simple with Thatcher Demko. And finally, who should we pick as our? I guess we got to pick JT Miller, right? Do we have to do that, JT Miller?
Sure. Yeah. Why not?
So, I mean, there's some good ones out there that we're probably not thinking of. I'm just kind of scrolling and seeing what we got for options. So maybe let's put a few into the mix, and then we'll come up with like the final
Okay.
thing. So I'm going to throw out one first. Bounty.
A Bounty bar. Okay.
Yeah. I think they have. Don't they have like coconut in there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a little flaky, little flaky, but Bounty. And I mean, probably you can read into that a little bit more. But that would be my first offering to JT Miller.
Okay, I'm gonna do a coffee crisp.
Ooh.
So tons of different layers. It's complicated.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now JT, what does he have left on his contract? He just signed, didn't he?
Yeah, I think last year was the first year of his contract, was it not?
Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna go with oh baby. You know what? I'm gonna take a departure from what I was gonna say. I'm gonna pick an Aero bar. A lot of holes right now. A lot of holes in this.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
I'll go with a Mr. Big.
Mr. Big. Okay.
Mr. Big. It just looks imposing sitting there on the rack next to all the smaller chocolate bars. So when I was a kid, I would just pick it because it was bigger, but I'm actually getting a better chocolate bar. I'm not sure.
I mean, it is a good chocolate bar. It's kind of like it's like a different O. Henry. Mr. Big. It's like a
not at all.
I think they're close.
I mean, if in sense that there's caramel and chocolate in it.
Yeah. Now O. Henry has the nuts, but they're similar.
Instead of nuts, there's like crispy Rice Krispies, and instead of like nougat, there's wafer.
Yeah, it's just basically the same. pretty much identical if you think about it.
I think like
Pretty much.
Baby Ruth and O. Henry are the same.
Baby Ruth and I haven't had a Baby Ruth in like forever. So that's I can't necessarily speak on that. Okay. So my last offering to this, and I had it and then I lost it. Oh no. Oh, found it. Butterfinger.
I love Butterfingers.
But he's kind of got Butterfingers right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
At the same time, no one better lay a finger on my Butterfinger. So that's what I got.
I thought we were gonna go cookies with all of this, but I'm happy we did the chocolate bar thing.
I think it's all kind of the same thing. Like if we went cookies, you run out of real estate. I think there's only so many.
I never used to like Oreos until like just recently.
Just basic Oreos.
Basic Oreos. Like didn't care about them at all growing up.
Right. They taste good with ice cream in a blender.
Well, I was gonna say a few years ago I started doing like peanut butter and Oreos for my Blizzard.
Yeah.
And that slaps. So now definitely more into Oreos than it used to be.
I like the mint Oreos, and I remember the summer Oreos that they used to make as a kid with the neon colors.
Oh, I kind of remember those, yeah.
They were fun.
Yeah.
They were fun. Yeah. Cool. Well, this has been fun. A lot funner than the Canucks have been this last week and a half. But that's okay, because this is what we did this podcast when they sucked. And now they're really good and they suck.
We do what we want.
What are we going to do? It's like, we're going to do a lockout episode. Oh, why? Because there's no hockey. No, we're not going to go that crazy. We're done. Let's go watch some football. Let's enjoy our weekend. Thanks for coming by. Hopefully you guys enjoy the show. And we got down to things today. We really owned it, I think. We really came into our own, I think. Maybe we didn't. I don't know. Who you got for your picks this weekend? Who are your 4 winners?
I'm actually just gonna sit down and watch. I don't have any money out there. I want to be like completely uninvested in any of these games, and I'm just gonna watch and try to like be a fan because my team is so bad. It's very clear that my Super Bowl doesn't start until draft picks up now. So
that's true. That's true.
I'm looking for some shootouts. I don't want any of what happened last week. It was kind of
okay. So I'll rephrase this. Which game are you hoping will be the best game this weekend?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't care. I want them all. I want them all to be good. I'm just like I'm sticking to my stance. I'm just gonna chill out and watch football.
I'm not gonna badge you anymore. So I'm gonna leave with this thing.
Here we go. Here we go.
And we're gonna watch some playoff football, DraftKings, Pick Six, do all that stuff. I'm excited for Bills and Ravens. That's the game I'm excited for. And I hope it's like high scoring, even though it's going to be absolutely drenched in snow. But
I'm hoping that's the highest scoring game. How about that?
Okay. I'll give you that. Cool. Okay. On behalf of Ted, I'm Ryan. This is the PP1 Podcast. It's a Saturday episode, which won't date us at all. Go Canucks, go. They play the Oilers tonight. Maybe it's a trap game. Maybe they get the Oilers.
A trap.
It's a trap. Enjoy your hockey. Peace out.
You too.